And if you don't like that, you don't like Kings basketball. They are blowing the doors off the Memphis Grizzlies with a minute left. It is 132-100. We saw the three-point shooting for Sacramento on fire tonight. The only thing you can harp on in this game, the turnovers. 8 for Sabonis, 6 for Fox. Little sloppy with the basketball, but let's not kid anyone. All right, Memphis mailed this game in tonight. They mailed it in. They absolutely mailed this game in. No Morant, no Adams, and they're going through the motions. They're going to lose their third in a row. But they chalked up this game as a loss before the game even started. 132-100. The Kings stomping on the Memphis Grizzlies, and this is certainly going to look good for your point differential. But anyway, great to have you here. And the Kings are 44 seconds away from the win, and they're going to go to 27-19. Yeah, we can light the beam already, huh? You don't have to wait until the end of the game for this one. Hello in Chile from Eduardo. Good to have you on, buddy. Absolutely. Well, I don't know what to tell you. All right, so one game left on this homestand, and then the Kings hit the road. Hello to Seattle and hello to everyone else. Load management at its finest. Why did Memphis rest all of these guys? Because they played last night. They've got the Warriors coming up on national TV next. There you have it. All right, let's get to Ryan in Sacktown. Ryan, the game is not officially over yet. It will be here in a couple of seconds. Give me your thoughts on what you saw tonight.
Grant, we saw the tale of two teams. We saw the best and the worst of the Kings. The Kings shot the lights out in the first quarter specifically. But, we saw the best of them at the end of the third quarter. We've been wanting to see them really just stomp a team out, not let the pressure up, and just get on that run. And they did that. And they didn't do it with the three ball. They did it with defense. They did it with transition. They valued the ball. And that's what's sustainable and will be sustainable for this team. So that's what's so exciting for me.
Yeah. They rested Ja Morant and Steven Adams. Adams kills the Kings. Morant is an all-star. So those two guys did not play. But, hey, that's just the way it is in the NBA. 133-100 is the final score. How about the first quarter? 47-33 Kings in the first. They got outscored in the second, 28-19. The Kings outscored Memphis by 5 in the third, 34-29. And how about this fourth quarter? 33-10. The Grizzlies just said, we're done. And they just went through the motions in the final quarter. The game was over, really, when the fourth quarter began.
Yeah, it was. And it started with the end of the third quarter, Grant. That last 3 minutes is where that run started. And, the Kings came out and they just took them away in the fourth quarter. 16-0 run in 4 minutes in the fourth quarter. And that broke their will. And from there on, it was just coasting for them.
Anita, I'll say one thing about the defense. I think sometimes you attribute bad shooting and a team playing not anywhere near 100%, going through the motions and getting ready for the next game, and you say, oh, they played great defense. I would agree with you. It was better, but I kind of pause a little bit. I'm looking at who was on the floor for Memphis in that fourth quarter. I'm looking at a lot of factors. So I'm not ready to just say the Kings played great defense, but I do like the way they played. I mean, I would say that. I like the way they played. Other than the turnovers, I thought they were very sloppy with the basketball. That's for sure. 133-100, the final.
Yeah, Grant, would you say that it was great defense compared to the first half? Because I think that's a fair comment, because the first half was a little more sloppy. But the second half, there was a noticeable difference in the way they were playing. Certainly room for improvement, but more consistency, more of what we want to see.
All right, so here's Sam, and you're right. So coming up on the next post-game show, we're using the Super Chat. Right now, Amir made an incredible donation the other night of $199, I believe is what it was. And so he is right now in line to join us after the Toronto game. If you want to utilize the Super Chat and make a donation, if it's more than that, then you'll be on with us during the next game. And then we're going to start the next 5 games. Again, Toronto, that'll be game 1 of 5, and we'll do that throughout the regular season and hopefully the playoffs. Yes, indeed.
Playoffs.
How about Trey Lyles tonight, huh?
A really great game. Really good all around. He let the game come to him, and for the life of me, I don't know how he ended up so open, especially in the second half, but really, really good game by Trey, and that's what we needed from the bench tonight. Monk brought a great spark too. Holmes, although he didn't score a lot, brought a spark. So big
Thank you
positive.
very much. Grant, announce a game live. Sack misses you. Thank you very much for your support. Really appreciate that. We got Mexico checking in. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Nice defense in the second half. Good game by the Kings. Were you at the game tonight? I know you were at the Philadelphia game. Were you here as well tonight? All right, we talk about the bench. Good job by Sea-Dog. You talked about that earlier in the show. Their bench did play well tonight. The bench got a lot of minutes, and they responded. Lyles in double figures with 24. Monk, 5 of 9 shooting with 13.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did it all different ways on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I really liked about it. So certainly we want to see consistent play from the bench going forward and not have the ups and downs. But you know what? They brought it tonight when they needed it. And,
Yeah.
we're starting to see, Grant, and I think you'd agree with me, the cast of characters on the bench that are going to be the ones that they really need to lean
Yep.
on a nightly basis.
Here's what I like the best tonight. I like Keegan Murray had 9 rebounds. This question by Sea-Dog. Sea-Dog, it's about consistency. So I need to see it pretty much every night. I can't have the lulls on the glass. But, yeah, I like the way he's playing on this homestand. I really do.
Yeah, Keegan, I don't know what's gotten into him the last couple weeks, but he's kind of changed that game up, and he's not settling for the 3-2,
Mm-hmm.
Grant. He's playing a lot more inside, and I really like that. So if he can continue that, that's going to be a huge boost.
Hello in Boise, Idaho. Hope you're not freezing.
Boise.
Yes, indeed. Desmond Bain is a bad boy. Desmond Bain is a player. I'll tell you that, man.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of moxie in him. He was 9 of 13 in this game for 21 points. He made 3 of 4. He had 5 assists. He's a good player. He's a very good player. No question about that.
Yeah, Bain's a great player. Very physical, too.
Yep.
The entire Memphis team, extremely physical,
Yep.
but Bain was impressive.
All right, so we light the beam, baby. We light the beam. And I want to tell you that we are brought to you in part by New Works Plumbing of Sacramento. Locally owned for over 20 years, New Works has a fix for you for your plumbing needs and repairs. Just go to newworksplumbing.com. That's sackserviceplumbing.com or newworksplumbing.com. Either will get you to the website. Call the number on your screen. And remember, they're available around the clock 24/7 for all of your plumbing needs and repairs. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. The Kings had a fix for the fans tonight after what happened the other night against Philadelphia, 133-100. And again, right now, Amir is on with us for the next game. Hopefully, we can make this a really fun deal with contributions. First of all, we're grateful for your support here on this channel. And for even those that have donated $1, $2, but whatever, thank you. We greatly appreciate that regardless of what the amount is. It means the world to us. And spread the word. Let people know that we're doing this because we love doing this. Absolutely. Light the beam is right. The beam is lit. And hopefully the beam will be lit after the Toronto game as well.
Absolutely. Grant, you brought this up in one of our earlier shows. Huge thing. The Kings now have the tiebreaker with Memphis.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's tied 2-2, but I think they got a better conference record, which is the second tiebreaker. So here's what's important, okay? The fact that the Kings continue to not have really any injuries. Metu's hurt right now, but we're talking about their main guys. And if the Kings do not suffer an injury to one of those two, they are going to be just fine. They're just going to be fine. Anita, thank you so much for your donation. Kings have to learn to beat the depleted teams on a consistent basis like they did tonight. Thank you, Anita. We love you. We greatly appreciate you. Big fan of what we do and a delightful lady and a just phenomenal. Anita, I first learned about Anita during the pandemic when we were doing shows. And she had one of the, I did the show for 26 years. And her phone call during the pandemic was so unbelievable. And you remember, again, with the tragic school shooting in Texas. And I know you relayed the story of your son and how do you explain that? And Anita's a teacher, and she was talking about what goes through her mind now when she's at work and the thought process that she has. And I got to tell you, it gave me chills listening to that because I didn't really think about what teachers deal with now, And so, Anita, thank you very much for your donation. We really appreciate that. Thank you for everyone else that's utilizing the super chat. It means the world to us. And again, doesn't matter if it's $1 or if it's a $2. Just know that we genuinely genuinely appreciate your support. We love doing these shows. We're going to try to expand. I think that maybe right after the All-Star break, we'll start doing pregame shows whenever we can. So we'll give you shows, all over the place, pregame, halftime, and postgame, so that you have the best of Kings conversation. And Ryan, I know you're into this. I'm into
Oh yeah.
this. And again, I just can't thank all the fans. No,
Thank you.
the donation time is not over. It goes until we are done with the show. So right now, Amir has made the largest donation, but I think what we're going to do, okay, and I'm doing this off the top of my head, but I think maybe in the next 5 games, and again, I'm just saying maybe because I'm a very spontaneous person, because we're getting such great feedback, and we have the
Yeah.
utilization of putting a lot of different people on the screen. And right now, Amir is the leader for the next game with a $199 donation. Maybe we'll take like the top 5, and we can have a full Kings roundtable of Ryan and myself and the 5 top donations, so that, again, if, I don't want people to feel left out because Amir was so generous. People go, oh, gee, I can't give that much. And I understand that. And I respectfully, I'm with you on that. I understand that, everyone's got a different economic situation, and it might be fun for more than one person to come on, Ryan. I think that could be a lot of fun, having just a round table with maybe 5 fans.
Yeah, Grant, I think that's a great idea. And maybe we even, let me be spontaneous too. Maybe we just, if you make a super chat and we're going to do a larger group, we just draw a name too from
That
somebody
would be
that
good.
donated. So a
You
dollar
know what? I
donation
like
can
that.
get you in.
You know what? I like that. Here's what we're going to do. I think that is fabulous. That's a great, great idea. So starting in the next 5 games, beginning the Toronto game, we're going to take the largest donation in the next 5 games, and you're automatically in. Then we're going to take the next 4 largest donations, but we're going to have a bonus. All right. So that we're going to just pick one out of the hat. You can donate $1, whatever the case may be. And if we pick your name, you can join us as well. Anita loves that idea. You know what? I love that idea too. I absolutely love that idea. Good job, Ryan. You're thinking, man. See, you're younger. You got more brain cells than I do. So you're able to think quicker on your feet. I love that. I love that.
Hey, Grant, even a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while.
You know what else I love? I'll tell you what I love. I love going to Bennett's in Roseville
Oh, yeah.
and in, down at Fair Oaks and Howe. Their food is great. Their menu. I know you love their Sunday brunch. I love their steaks. I had the Prime New York the last time I was there. You can get the porterhouse. You can get the hanger steak. You can get the bone-in ribeye. They're fabulous. All right. 2 locations in the Sacramento area, with a 3rd coming this spring to the Blue Oaks Town Center. They're awesome. The Bennetts are huge, huge King supporters. You will love everything about Bennett's. Trust me. Their food is excellent. Brian is so hospitable. We had a great time there in September when we got our head shaved. And I know you've been there a couple of times, and
Yep.
I have been there many, many times. I used to, when I did endorsements for Lexus of Roseville, about once every 2 months, I would go out to lunch with the general manager, Patrick, and we would go out with some of the workers, and we would always go to Bennett's, and they loved it. We go, where do you want to go today? And everyone's like, Bennett's. So we always went to Bennett's, because you can't go wrong at Bennett's. So check it out. And again, thank you very much to Brian and the Bennett family for being part of what we're doing right here on YouTube. Good stuff right there.
Hey, Grant, Anita can attest to this. Don't sleep on the shrimp scampi at Bennett's. That was pretty good. The night we had the event, Anita sat right with our family. We had the pleasure of speaking with her for a little bit, and she's like, what are you eating? That looks so good. Like, shrimp scampi, bomb. So,
are you ready for this? Would you look at that?
Oh,
wow. Christopher. Wow.
Chris.
You know what, Chris? I don't even know what to say. I really don't, other than thank you. Thank you. So Chris is going to be joining us as of right now via the super chat. You're going to come on with us. So Chris, if you are the high man, Ryan, what's the best way for them to get in touch with us? Should we use the same email that we use for our event, or should we use a different one? What do you think is the best way so we
No.
can get them information?
Yeah, so if you are part of the group or the high bidder, go ahead and shoot an email to Rhino, RYNO, in Sacktown at gmail.com.
All right, I'm going to put it
Rhino,
on.
RYNO, in Sacktown at gmail.com. I'll tweet it out. So not a
All right,
big
well,
deal.
I'm putting it up on the screen right now. All right, so let me put that on. Is that it?
You got it.
All right. So, Christopher, there you have it. And anyone else. And here's the other deal. If you want to get in touch with us, hit Rhino an email because he forwards me everything. And
Yep.
if you have, here's the deal. You know what? If you have suggestions, we're happy. We're going with the flow here. And so there's the email, Christopher, and anyone else that wants to get a hold of us. All right. Rhino in Sacktown at gmail.com. And right now, Christopher's coming on with us for the show with the Raptors. How about that? You people are amazing.
Grant, let me ask you a question. Why wait? Why don't we do what we said for the next 5? We've got 3 high bids right now. Draw an extra name. We got plenty of room, and we can bring them on.
All
you
right,
want to kick
let's
it
do
in?
that then.
Let's do
Okay.
that. I mean, we got Amir. We've got Sam, who kicked
All right,
things
let me
off
ask
at 100.
Christopher. Christopher, I'm changing the rules on you a little bit. And you just made a very generous donation. And Christopher, I mean this. I'm being very serious. Do you want to just come on by yourself, or would you be okay now coming on with 3 of the other high bidders plus a wild card? Let me know. And again, if you just want to come on, since you just made such a generous donation, I will give you that choice. And I really mean that. Okay. We want to make this fun for everybody.
Yes.
And I can't thank you enough. So thank you very much. You know what? We might bring on Jerry Reynolds for the beginning of that too. We'll ask Jerry. Jerry said he'd be okay with coming on a couple of shows. The problem with Jerry is, he gets hits his bedtime there. But that game's 7:00 against Toronto, so I think Jerry might be able to come on with us for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, by the way, the if you don't like that live show, Wednesdays 3:00 YouTube Live. You can catch Grant and Jerry. Always an awesome show. That's every Wednesday on YouTube Live, or you can go to ifyoudontlikethat.com.
Amir is unbelievable. Do you know that Amir reached out to me years and years ago and was a caller on the show, got my email address, and we then would meet at the game and he would say hi and we would talk. And he's a quality guy and he's been just a big supporter of mine. And so I just appreciate the heck out of Amir. But I appreciate, listen, if you even make $1 donation, I just love that. We can't thank you enough for everything that you're doing. And how nice is this that we're talking about a Kings team right now that is 3rd in the Western Conference. 3rd in the Western Conference. Pretty amazing, huh?
It is, Grant. And let me ask you this. Do you think it's safe to say if the Kings don't win another game the rest of the season, they will make the play-in?
One more time.
Do you think it's safe to say, or what do you think the number is? If the Kings went, let's say we only win 5 more games the rest of the season, are they pretty much a shoe-in for the play-in at this point?
Not if they only win 5 more. No, not if they win only 5 more. I think to make last year, the 10th team was 34 wins. But
34?
Personally, I don't consider the 9th and the 10th a playoff. I consider top 8. Now, New Orleans last year was 9, and they won the whole thing, and they got in. To me, they were a playoff team,
Yeah.
All right, so Christopher says he wants Amir up there with me. All right, Christopher.
All right.
We'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that. Anita says she concurs with you on the shrimp scampi at Bennett's, and she loves your family. Sweethearts.
Anita's great. She is awesome.
Anita's great. My wife and I went out to lunch with Anita before we moved to Miami and loved, you know what? I love people that care more about other people than they do themselves. You know what I mean? Like that's like Anita is truly wants to make her community better. And I have a real affinity for teachers because my brother's a teacher and my brother taught math at a in a low-income area on Long Island with the enrollment of 90% Hispanics and Blacks, low-income families. And my brother made a difference in this world because my brother wasn't about just showing up and going home. You know, he would be there for the students that wanted extra help. He rolled up his sleeves and he worked his ass off for 35 years and changed people's lives. He also was very honest with me. He said every year, you know, at the beginning of the school year, I had roughly 1/3 of my students that I couldn't do anything with. They didn't have any support at home. They didn't care. They were only there because they were forced to be there. They were disruptive. You knew that they were going to have a life full of turmoil. And he said, you couldn't do anything as much as you wanted to. And then he said, the other third of your students were kind of on the fence. And those are the students that you just work so hard to make their lives better and to help them. And then the other third, you didn't have to do anything. They were going to get their A's and they were going to go on to college. But he said, those students that were on the fence, that's where most of the work came. And so we used to talk about that. And my sister-in-law also is a teacher. She taught at the same high school in biology. We used to have all these conversations. So
Yeah.
I have it, you know, teachers to me don't get enough credit. Teachers are so phenomenal. And so I'll just leave it at that. You know, I have a real soft place in my heart for teachers. They do a great job and they're way, way underpaid.
Well, and way underappreciated too. And I'm sure your brother treated those kids that he knew were going to make it through the exact same as he treated the kids that he knew that weren't going to make it through.
Yes, he did.
And, you know, if we're going to be real about it, there's really no difference for teachers these days than first responders stepping into work every day.
Oh, boy.
And hearing Anita's call that you're referencing, and sorry, guys, I know we're getting off on a tangent, but it's important and I don't care. You know, hearing that call and thinking about that you're walking into a school where you don't know what's going to happen. Grant, we've had 2 mass shootings in the last 2 days. Those weren't school, but you don't know what's going to happen and you still do it. And it's just, amazing. Thank you. All the teachers out there. I'm sure Anita's not the only one.
All right. Again, thank you very much for everyone that is on this chat. So we got Christopher and Amir. Christopher, I want to clarify one thing. You'd rather just be on you and Amir with me and Ryan? Because if that's what you want, I'm okay with that. And then we can switch it up for the next one. So you let me know, Christopher. Let us know. You can either email Ryan or you can tell us right here on the chat line. I'm good with whatever you want. You're the one that donated the money. So it's all good. How about this? Look, I want you, let me get to this. This is unbelievable. I'm reading this for the first time. Grant, you came to my elementary school when I was in 4th grade, and I will never forget your appearance. You inspired me. Thank you.
Wow.
I'll tell you this. I used to love going to talk to schools, and I know we're getting off on a tangent, but that's okay because the Kings blew up Memphis, and there's only so much we can talk about. I'll tell you a real quick story. I don't know if I've shared this with you before, and this isn't about me because I'm not doing the work. The students are doing the work.
Yeah.
So in my foundation, we mentored our students beginning in 10th grade. And my student was at the time, Raul at Florin High School. And I got contacted by his Avid teacher. And she said, Raul's having some problems. And she explained to me what it was. His dad had lost his job. And his dad didn't speak English, and it disrupted Raul to a point where his grades started going downhill. She said, can you do me a favor? Would you be willing to come to the school and talk to our class? I said, I would be happy to. So I remember because I had a shirt and tie on because I was getting ready for a game that night.
Yeah.
So I talked to the class, and she was like, that was just unbelievable. She goes, would you be able to stay and talk to my next class? And I said, sure. I said, I have a couple of hours before I have to be at the arena for my radio show. I ended up speaking to 4 straight classes. Okay.
Oh, wow.
But after that first session, I grabbed Raul and I said to Raul, come here. And we went out outside. And I said, hey, your greatest gift that you can give your father right now is to do well in school. The greatest thing you can do is to graduate high school and go to college. All of our students, Ryan, were first generational college students. Nobody had ever go to college in the families that we selected.
Wow.
And I said to Raul, I go, as hard as things are at home, it's going to be much harder if you don't graduate high school and you flunk out. The greatest gift that you can give your father right now as he's going through this tiring or this troubling time is to do well in school. And he graduated, his grades started coming back up. He went to Sac State, he graduated. And so, like, I always talk about make a difference in your community, right? Make a difference in
Damn
your
right.
community. No matter how small, do something to help out your community. So that was my story. And we're loving teachers tonight. And Anita, thank you. And everyone else, thank you very much for your support. All right, we'll get back to the game. 133 to 100. So other than the turnovers, there's really nothing to nitpick on tonight, right?
Yeah, not really. I mean, you could say they didn't get to the line enough, but it's hard to argue when they made as many threes as they did.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was a pretty darn consistent performance. They didn't let up without the team's 2 stars. Well, Adams debatably is not a star, but he's a Kings killer. So not much for me, Grant. How about you?
No, I'm looking at this again. Sorry to get off on a tangent, but he said I came to his school when he was in 6th grade with Walt Gray to chat with us. You played catch with our class on the time, and I'll never forget it. Inspired me to get into broadcasting. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
You know what? I love the kids. I would never say no. If somebody said, hey, can you come talk to us? I used to talk to Rotary. Jerry was the king of the rubber chicken Rotary luncheons. Jerry always started. Yeah.
He probably liked that food though, nice and soft.
Yeah. Anyway, about me, I don't have any issues with the game tonight. I really don't. I could, nitpick on the turnovers, but there's nothing about the game tonight that really concerned me. The Kings came out, they jumped on Memphis early, and so it's all good. But I also look at 5-game increments. All right, so here we are. This was the 5th game. All right.
Yep.
So when you look at this stretch of games, it's a mixed bag to me. It's a mixed bag. That's what it is. All right. Because I thought that the Philadelphia loss, that's when I say it's a mixed bag, that Philadelphia loss jumps out at me. But the previous 3 games they won, 2 of them were on the road. So for these 5 games, and we'll do this for the Toronto game. All right. We'll give some grades out. But right now, off the top of my head, I'm probably going to give the Kings a number of 1 to 100, about an 88, because that Philadelphia game to me without Embiid and Harden was a bad loss.
Yeah, the Philly game was a bad loss. I'm probably going to, because it wasn't a bad loss across the board, right? They played a decent half. They just didn't finish. So there's something to that. I'd probably grade them at an A- because they've been inconsistent all season, Grant. That's been their MO. You don't know who's going to show up. So that's nothing new, and I'm not going to hold that against them because that's part of the team's ID at this point. We're halfway through the season. So I think a solid A-, especially coming off, and I don't want to put too much into it because Morant and Adams didn't play, but the way they finished tonight, that's the way that you should finish, especially at home where they have struggled.
All right, 133 to 100, Sacramento wins. So Christopher and Amir will be on with us in the next show, and I'm still waiting for, unless Christopher has already done that. Christopher, do me a favor, drop that email if you can to Ryan, and just let Ryan know if you want to come on with only Amir or if you want 3 others to come on as well. It's up to you. You're the one that made the largest donation. All right, so we're all doing that.
Yeah, and
all right.
Christopher, you can also DM me as well if you need to. My Twitter is at Ryan_in_Sacktown. DM me and we can let you know. You know Grant's Twitter, I'm sure.
I'll tell you, that's a great question, Mohammed. And I would say this: you don't realize at the time the magnitude of what you're watching during the game. And we took a commercial break with roughly 3 minutes left to go in the quarter, and I realized how unbelievably incredible that performance was. And I would also say this: what probably And it's on YouTube right now. If you want to hear the call, you can
Yeah.
go Klay Thompson's 37 points, and I have my call on there as well. You know what meant a lot to me? Because I've always tried to be objective when I'm announcing games. I love the fact, and it meant a lot to me, and I'm not bragging. I'm not saying, oh, look at Grant. That's not what I'm trying to make a point. Very often when you announce a game, you get people that say, oh, you hate this team. You hate this team. Oh, you're all a homer. I could not believe the reaction I got from Golden State fans telling me what a great job I did announcing Klay Thompson's third quarter performance that night with the excitement and the credit that it deserved. And that meant a lot to me. All right. Because the Kings were the ones that were getting embarrassed, and Klay Thompson went off. And I announced that game as if I were the Warriors announcer almost. And that meant a lot to me. There were a lot of things I remember, but those were some of the things that really stood out to me.
But granted, yeah, and it was respect for the game, right? It was respect for the greatness that you were seeing in that moment. And I think that's certainly something that Kings fans and fans across the nation appreciated. Let me ask you, did you, or is there one individual performance like Clay's from a King that jumps out to you when you think about your time announcing games?
Well, that 37-point performance is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in all my years of announcing 32 years of basketball. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, that is top. That is first and foremost. And I did games with Kareem and Magic and Bird and obviously Michael Jordan and everything else. I've never, ever seen anything like that. And I don't think we ever will see a 37-point quarter ever again, ever in the NBA.
Probably unlikely. Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, Ryan, think about this. Most players in their whole career don't even have a career high of 37, and he got that in one quarter.
No, you're right, Grant. It's very unlikely. It was a perfect storm. Let's just put it that way. I mean, he hit as many threes almost as the Kings hit in the first quarter, right? On his own. I think it was double digits. Is there a Kings player performance that jumps out to you that you remember calling?
Oh, wow.
50-point game, 60-point game. What's the first one that comes to mind?
It would have to be a game probably with either Peja or Mitch Richmond. You know, one of their great individual performances. Maybe Peja on the road, and I think the triple overtime game at Toronto. But there are so many, Ryan. I mean, I announced a couple thousand games. It's really difficult to pick out just one game, you know, because I announced over different eras.
Yeah.
And there were so many special performances over the year. I remember Tony Delk one night going for over 50, and that was one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen because you didn't expect that out of a player like Tony Delk. So that always stands out to me as well. And I also will tell you this. I'm not about, gee, a guy scored 50 points. I'm not really big on scoring 50 points if you take 40-something shots. I like efficient scores. That's what I look at. I like efficiency. And what made that third quarter so amazing for Klay Thompson is how efficient he was in that third quarter. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, they threw the whole team at him, and it did not matter. He was on the court by himself, it felt like. But yeah, it's one of those moments you won't forget anytime.
Well, the Kings comeback against the Chicago Bulls, I think, is the best quarter of basketball I've ever announced. And I will go back, and when I looked at that game, I thought that was the best quarter of basketball that I had ever announced. And I really mean that. I thought it was, I mean, to this day, that's one of my favorite games that I've ever announced, you know? All right, how do I get that off the screen? That's all right. Maybe we won't be able to do any more chats tonight, but I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
You know, I always get asked that a lot. What's my favorite this? What's my favorite this? What's that? It's hard. You know, I announced a couple of thousand games. It's difficult to just zero in on one game. I have a couple of favorites, obviously, but that Klay Thompson 37-point performance is the most amazing thing, Ryan, that I've ever seen.
And you're the voice behind it. I mean, on YouTube, because I've watched it a few times as well.
Yeah.
Since it happened, do you think we'll ever see 100-point scorer again?
No.
You don't think so? The way the three ball shooting now?
Nope. I don't. What about you?
I don't know. I lean towards yes, because the players are getting bigger, stronger, faster, and the big guys can shoot the three now. But I don't know. That's a tough feat. I mean, I think about Kobe's 82. Booker had what was it, 81? I think,
Hmm.
and somebody had a big game earlier this season. But yeah, that's a tough one. I'd like to see what the chatters think on that.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm making this executive decision because we're doing this on
Oh,
a fly, and I don't want to upset anybody. Christopher and Amir will join us on the next post-game show. Then for the next 5, we'll do what Ryan said. We'll take the top 5 and a wild card, and we'll have a big round table. All right. So next post-game show, Christopher and Amir will join us, and we'll have a lot of fun. All right. We'll do that. How about this Kings team tonight, making it easy? And now we ask ourselves, which team's going to show up for Toronto, Ryan? Now I'm going to look at the updated
yeah.
standings while you answer that. Will the real Sacramento Kings please take a step forward?
Well, I hope you can quit asking that question sometime soon, but I
Yep.
have a feeling we're going to keep hearing it. You know what? I think tonight was what the doctor ordered. I think that they will keep rolling. I mean, don't expect the 3 ball to fall at that clip, but I think they'll carry on to Toronto
Yep.
with this, and then ultimately they're going to have a couple big ones with the Mavericks. So we'll see how they do. But Toronto first.
Yeah, Toronto is not very good this year. They're 21-27. All right, so this is a game. Again, I need to stop saying this is a game they should win because every time we say that they lose. But
Yeah,
Toronto's not playing well. Give you their last series of games beginning in the middle of January on the 14th. They lost to Atlanta at home, 114-103. They won at the Garden in overtime against the Knicks, 123-121. Then they lost to Milwaukee, 130-122. They lost at Minnesota, 128-126. They lost against Boston at home, 106-104. So those are 3 really
close
close games.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Knicks game, they won last time out, 125-116. And they don't play until, obviously, Sacramento coming up on Wednesday. And we'll be on with you, and we'll have both Amir and Christopher join us on the post-game show there.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, you could almost argue that run is not indicative of how they were really playing because they didn't play any slouches. I
No.
mean, not big slouches. It was
Yeah.
decent competition, Milwaukee, Boston. So, those are the teams that the Kings sometimes have trouble with. They just got to
Absolutely.
bring it and rest up. That's for sure.
Good show tonight. Good performance by the Sacramento Kings. Next up, Toronto. Final thoughts, Rhino?
No, good job. Second half. Really happy to see the beam lit and really, really grateful for all of you. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to the show on Wednesday with Amir and Chris.
Absolutely. All right, buddy. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks, Grant.
Hey, thank you for your support. I keep on saying that over and over and over. It means the world to us. And a very special post-game show coming up. Christopher and Amir will join us after the Toronto game. And then the 5 games after that, we'll get a whole bunch of people on. All right. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks so much for being here if you don't like that. Bye-bye.